Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Hey, docs, welcome to another episode of Modern Chiropractic Mastery. Today I've got a guest. Dr. David Berg is a chiropractor, but more of an entrepreneur at this point, and I had the pleasure of having him on my original podcast that you may not have heard about. I started my podcasting world with the Modern Desk Jockey, and that was in about mid year 2016. We started with that, and that was 82 or 83 episodes. But he was on that early on, and I know Dave from Strategic Coach, and he's got quite a company he has built called Redirect Health, and he is going to dive into what that is and what that means to you. And I think you're going to get a lot out of it, whether it's for your practice in the sense of, having patients that have redirect health, the idea of it, things you could even offer for your employees, but also just thinking outside the box and thinking big and taking advantage of opportunities as you see that. And David does a great job of kind of telling his story of how he got to where he is now. And he is still part of Strategic Coach, and we run into each other every so often, but definitely a big thinker, and I encourage that for you as well. Before we dive into that episode, we are offering the 30K a month course again. This is actually going to be more of an evergreen. When we launched it the first time, we had it was a 6-week course that had Zoom calls and a bunch of other things. So the evergreen course of this, you're not going to have the Zoom calls with me like they did, but you're going to get the lessons and the material, and it's going to be on a good platform that will drip to you, and you'll get the same material. And so check that out. Just go to our website, modernchiropracticmarketing.com, and you can see that. We will put the direct link in the show notes. As I record this, we don't have it yet, but it is on the website, www.modernchiropracticmarketing.com. And so you can take this course whenever and get a lot of the information out of it. It just won't have a lot of the Slack channel we had with the first group and the Zoom call, Q&A, and some other aspects of it, but you'll still have plenty of value. So check that out. All right. So without further ado, this is my interview with Dr. David Berg. All right. Excited to have Dr. David Berg on the line here. I've actually had you on my Modern Desk Jockey podcast back in 2016 when I first started podcasting. And we did meet a couple times at Strategic Coach. I've been a member there for a while, and I know you have as well. And so it's been exciting to see what you've done with Redirect Health. But before we dive into that, just give us a little bit of an overview of yourself.
Yeah, sure. And Strategic Coach has been part of my life for about 25 years now, with Dan Sullivan for 23 of it. So it's embedded in me, as I'm sure it is you. A lot of the principles that Dan Sullivan talks about. There's not a strategic thinking coach for entrepreneurs that is better than Dan that I can think of.
He's the best. I've been there 11 years, so I'm catching up.
So you got it. So my story, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona with my wife, and she didn't buy from Canada. And so I was used to the Canadian healthcare system, which is not very robust, but it does have this. It has a lot of peace of mind. People are not worried about the Canadian healthcare system. And even in places where they should be worried because the wait lines are too long, etc. People just don't generally go about their day being worried about it. But they are in the United States. We have great healthcare here. But the worry and the lack of peace of mind around it, or especially around the affordability of it, is incredible. So my wife is a family doctor, and I'm a chiropractor. We moved to Phoenix in 1995, and it was quite a culture shock for us just to see just how great the healthcare was here, but how worried people were about accessing it. Worried, no peace of mind over the most basic stuff. That was foreign to us. Mm-hmm. So we were trying to figure out how to make money in the American system, and there are a lot of things just didn't make sense to us. It was very complicated compared to the Canadian system. And there's a lot of what we eventually discovered, that confusion that was out there was very beneficial for a lot of people, a lot of parties, stakeholders, in order to make money. The more confusing it was, the easier it was for the system to make money. And there were a lot of hidden costs, hidden transactions, hidden fees And it could be hidden cost of time or hidden cost of frustration or but money, obviously, too. So we had to figure this thing out in order to make money in our business. And we were one of the, I think were the first chiropractic family practice, joint practice back in 1995. There might have been one other chiropractor working with an orthopedic surgeon at the time. So it wasn't very common. But we had to figure it out for our own business. But then we had to also, after about 10 years, I recognized I still wasn't able to figure out how to make healthcare work and affordable for my hourly employees.
Yeah.
10 years later, I knew how to make money in the system, but I didn't know how to make it affordable for me to provide it to my employers and my employees to be able to afford it. It was just too much time, wasted money, and uncertainty. So I created a new system that was just common sense in a lot of ways, but it was designed to reproduce that peace of mind that we experienced in Canada, but to experience it here with my own employees. I had no intention, neither did my wife, to ever commercialize it, sell it, help other businesses. And when the recession happened, and I really started about 2006, but 2008 is when I launched it. And then we had, I think, a bunch of friends in the business world through Strategic Coach or Young Entrepreneurs Organization. Vern Harnish of Entrepreneurs Organization is a great friend of mine. So I've been part of those two organizations now for 25 plus years. And so I knew a lot of business owners and they were struggling with healthcare, but I solved it from my own business. So I just started helping friends, and I probably had about 15 of them that I was helping with their business. And we lowered their costs by 30% when insurance companies were trying to raise them 20, 30%. We just lower them 30. And it would help them to be for labor and help them retain employees.
Mhm. Yeah.
For some of my friends who had a lot of injuries at work or they had exposure to that, the byproduct was injuries at work. The work comp costs went down tremendously. The byproduct, we didn't even design it for that, but it gave my friends' businesses huge competitive advantages for hiring and retaining and workers' comp for the construction friends of mine. And matter of fact, two of the friends of mine, the brothers, one was the former mayor of Phoenix, still is the former mayor of Phoenix, and his brother, home building and drywall. And the Paul Johnson is the former mayor of Phoenix. He is now my business partner also.
Oh, wow.
But we just saw just huge benefits by controlling healthcare costs, by doing some common sense things. And but what happened is it started spreading around Phoenix,
Mhm.
the freeway, and then we did chart for it. And then
Yeah.
Paul said, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, you're helping my business so much, and my brother's business, and a dozen other businesses. You got to start charging for this." And then in 2013, we started Redirect Health with no intention ever to like do anything but start charge entrepreneurs and our friends in Arizona. And then by 2018, it grew to small businesses all over the country. We're in all 50 states now, and hundreds of brokers are pitching our stuff, selling our stuff, and our solution. But in a nutshell, we're a platform, a technology logistics platform that helps make any health plan work better, just by applying common sense principles, mainly around primary care and routine interventions that chiropractic would be part of. But so would labs, and so would routine x-rays, and so would primary care, so would urgent care. It's that routine stuff that we use 90% of the time for 90% of our conditions, that it's just by helping that part of healthcare work better and in a more streamlined way, it just helps eliminate a lot of the unnecessary activity and spending in the more expensive hospital systems, health systems.
Mhm. So take me back to go back to 2005 or so. It's your business. You were doing this for your employees only. What exactly were you doing for them to corral this healthcare system?
So in 2005, I wasn't doing anything different for my employees than everybody else was. I was letting my HR person manager work with a broker to
Mhm.
go figure out whether Blue Cross had a better price or Demand had a better price, United had a better price, and I'd switch every year, every 2 years, doing like less of an increase. And when I got too much of an increase, I just raised deductibles. Back then, it's from $250 a year to $500 a year. That
Mhm.
irritated everybody when I did it. Now we're at $6,000, $7,000 deductibles all day long, and then double that for families. But back then it wasn't. So I would do the normal things in 2005, and I do the normal things in 2006. And then when I got to about 2006, my deductible were $1,000.
Yeah.
And the big corporations in my neighborhood, say like Honeywell, American Express, Discover Card, the hospital systems, the insurance companies, the banks, they all had deductibles that were still at $250 or $500. So
Mhm.
when I'm at 1,000, I can't be competitive. And I found that my very best employees, they could get jobs anywhere because I would teach them how to do the customer service and everything a chiropractor has to have nailed in order to have a successful business. The customer service, the empathy for the customer at all stages, from finding a parking spot to receiving a bill and everything in between. And the phones, right? We understood what customer service looked like. What that meant was that any of my people could get a job paying a little more money at a big corporation with way better health benefits. So there, many of my employees, when I say men, it might be
Yeah.
10%, but it's always the best ones.
Mhm.
They would peel off when they wanted to start families or they were getting married or that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
I wasn't able to compete with the Honeywell across the corner, literally across the corner, with their health benefits. So me figuring out how to compete with Honeywell and American Express, these big corporations, in order to retain my employees and be able to hire the best employees for the customer experience I wanted to see in our practice. It's what stimulated me to say, okay, I'm going to figure out a better way. And that better way was to just help people get things taken care of over the phone so they didn't have to miss work.
Yeah.
Let them get things taken care of, the routine things taken care of without the nickel and diming of a $5 copay, a $10 copay, that kind of thing. So once I figured that part out, I just created a plan I then offered to my employees
Mhm.
that met their needs exactly. And then I went and reinsured. I self-insured and then I reinsured if the cost got bigger than I thought. But what we realized is the cost never got bigger than I thought. If we did really good routine care,
Yeah.
all the things I include, it's not just primary care, it's not just chiropractic, not just labs, not just x-rays, not just physicals, not just mammograms, not just colonoscopies, but all those things, the routine things that we need. If we did those things well, we didn't waste money
Yeah.
in the bigger health systems, in the emergency rooms and the urgent cares. And we started noticing some huge price differentials between everything. I mean, a baby in one hospital could be $3,000 back then. The same baby, same doctor, same mom in the hospital 2 miles away is now $17,000.
Yeah.
No, so that doesn't even make sense to a Canadian coming down here. It doesn't make sense. When I buy a TV or a pair of shoes, the price differential isn't that big. But we started seeing that there were tricks of the trade, billing tricks and coding tricks in the hospital systems that we never even imagined existed.
Mhm.
So if we could do really good routine care and then help people avoid or eliminate those coding tricks or the complication tricks or the charting tricks. I call them tricks because the two hospitals could do them differently. The
Yeah.
two doctors could do them differently. It's not usually the doctors, it's the billing office that's coding the notes, the chart notes. It's not even the doctor coding them. So we started learning those price differentials. Mm. And we started seeing patterns. And I started creating a logistics technology platform around those patterns because initially I thought I could just teach people healthcare consumerism, and so I learned after about 2 years that it was way cheaper, less expensive for me, probably a tenth of the cost. If I just did it for them, they'd try to teach somebody else how to do it. A tenth of the cost to do it myself than to teach you how to do it. But there's everything we did, any one
Mhm.
part, anyone could do it. It's common sense. However, if you got 10,000 of these things and you're experiencing it for the first time, it's very difficult. If you've got 10,000 of these things and you're experiencing it for the 100th time or the 1,000th time, or you got technology and now you got AI and all over it, it's powerful. I'm going to give you one example, really drive home that price differential in that common sense thing. If somebody has high blood pressure, really high blood pressure, you got to get it down or they're at risk of a stroke. We have to. Um, to manage the high blood pressure, in the best case, is about $21 a year of medication. $21 a year. Now, here's how you get it. You go to a grocery store, and you get a tablet
Mhm.
of a generic. Now, here's what surprised a lot of people. That same generic medication at a corner, big brand, big box pharmacy
Mhm.
that's in a capsule format is now $3,500 a year, $295 a month versus $1.71 a month. It doesn't even make sense. All we did is change the form from a tablet to a capsule and from the grocery store to the retail pharmacy.
Mhm.
We didn't even go to the brand name. You go to the brand name, you could be $10,000, right? So let's even take the brand generic out of the place. So a lot of people didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
And now we got there's like the coding that are called NDC codes. There's like, I think it's 80,000 codes.
Yeah.
In there is probably hundreds of thousands of pharmacies. So in order to have the pricing for 80,000 codes times 100,000 pharmacies or whatever it is, it's insurmountable. So number one, you need the knowledge. Need to know the principles in place and where the tricks are and where the patterns are. But then you need the technology to
Mhm.
have the database that changes. It could change every quarter. Could
Yeah.
change every day, really, but it changes every quarter. One form of medication at one location is $1.71 this month, but it's $4 next month.
Yeah.
And patterns, that's always $290 at this store in a capsule form. So I just gave you one example of one condition, high blood pressure, where we can eliminate tremendous amount of cost just by understanding the logistical considerations of the healthcare that's required.
Mm.
I personally experienced this a whole lot, but they do in that if they could avoid the orthopedic surgeon or the post-surgical rehab and the
Yeah.
expensive D&E that happens afterwards, just could be a big part at the front end, and they are in our system.
So, like, essentially, the example you gave with the tablet versus the capsule, that's you educating the consumer on their options with that high blood pressure, just like what you compared to with the chiropractor. Yeah, like we talk about it a lot. Obviously, it's like that person goes with shoulder pain and they go to the orthopedist, they go for the MRI, they find something that maybe wasn't even related to the pain they're having in the shoulder, and recommend surgery. They end up with surgery and
Yeah.
not.
Well, first of all, Kevin, I used to think exactly what you said, that I could just teach the healer. What I've learned is I can't. They don't believe it. It's too egregious. Like, what do you need? $21 a year versus 35? Yeah, you're wrong. There's no way that can be true. It took me 10 years to believe that was true.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe it because I didn't experience that in Canada.
Mm.
So we just do it for them. We tell
Yeah.
them, hey, the price is $21. If I can lock in your brain the like anchor $21 is a cost, that's what I have to do. I have to anchor $21 because that way when you experience $50, you're a little upset and you come back. But so there's a lot of anchoring of the right price in our members' minds so they can help us. I think it's safe to say there are very few scenarios where it will ever make sense from the patient's perspective for a chiropractor to send somebody to orthopedic surgeon without doing the MRI first.
Mhm.
Here's why. Many of the orthopedic surgeons they either own their own MRI centers or they work
Mhm.
for hospital systems that own their MRI centers.
Mhm.
Uh, MRIs at a hospital system can charge out at $9,000, $10,000. That same MRI across the street can usually be done for 250, 300, definitely under $500.
Yeah.
So the cash price in MRI outside of a hospital system is always under $500 everywhere in the United States. If I'm a chiropractor and I send to my friend, the orthopedic surgeon, who happens to be at a hospital system,
Mhm.
that orthopedic surgeon now is removed from the charging of the MRI. They just said to their MRI center that's very convenient, owned by their employer, basically, or their partner, or who they're renting space from. And now that MRI price, they wash their hands.
Mhm.
Yeah, they charge whatever they want to. But the charges in a hospital system are going to be 3,000 to, I've seen up to 12,000. I've seen 9,000 a couple of times now. I didn't see that 2 years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
2 years ago, my record was 8,000.
Yeah.
Now we've blown by that in the last 2 years. Well, you can eliminate that unnecessary spending.
Let's take a break from today's episode and announce our first sponsor. This is going to be Propel Marketing and Design. I've known Darcy Sullivan for years. We've worked hand in hand on my websites. I don't trust anybody else to do the search engine optimization. She does a great job. There's so much to it. A lot of the lingo and the words are beyond my comprehension, but it's just amazing work that she does. And if you're really going to get results with Google, you have to make sure your website is SEO optimized. And I really don't want you doing it yourself as a chiropractor. So you just have to have this type of stuff done. And if you're looking to get more organic online traffic that pulls in new patients, Propel Marketing and Design is currently offering chiropractors who listen to this podcast a free SEO website review. The free review will help you uncover methods that will improve your website and boost your search engine visibility. Head over to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor and schedule your free SEO website review. You won't regret it. She gets great results. Your website needs this. Your search results need this. Head on over there to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor to get your free SEO website review. Yeah, the name of your company, Redirect Health, is you're kind of redirecting the decision making and the knowledge and obviously the choices of their healthcare. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was really on the concept of the logistical um, angle on rethinking, like
Hmm.
just pausing and go, let's think through this. Let's make this make sense. What's the common sense here? $21, 3,500, $9,000 MRI, $300 MRI. Are they
Mm.
that much better? And maybe you can make an argument that the one MRI is better than the other, but it's not 20 times better
Yeah, for
for sure.
sure.
And so the sense doesn't make sense. But then we wanted the spin of the logistics. What we discovered is the thing that drives healthcare costs in America, not in Canada. So that was different. So maybe that's why I saw it a little differently, and it was more obvious to me. So I didn't
Mm.
see this in Canada ever. I just didn't notice it. It might be there. I didn't notice it. But logistical considerations could drive the cost of healthcare by hundreds of times.
Hmm.
Whether it's a tablet or capsule, that's the logistics to me.
Yeah.
That's not healthcare. It's the same chemical compounds, the same disease, same person, same doctor, same everything. But logistical considerations of the form of a medication or
Mm.
the whether it's a grocery store or a big brand. I'm trying not to say the name because I don't want to get sued.
I get it. I get it.
But they're that's logistics to me. Like where do I go? Is logistics. So what we discovered is logistics controls cost. Healthcare does not control the health need for healthcare does not even close to match the impact of managing logistics on cost. If we believe that as we do, that the problem with American healthcare, the thing that's stopping people and robbing their peace
Mhm.
is cost, and the cost is getting in the way of their belief of access, then we have to address cost. If we don't address cost, we're not doing anything to solve the problem. If we're not using data to address costs, what good are we? If we're not using AI, the new technologies to control costs. I tell you right now, the system today is using data and they're using AI to figure out how to increase costs. That is what's happening. And now it's also figuring out how to create a marketing message, a brand message that says we're not.
Mhm.
If you put $1 billion on a message, any message, that message is going to stick if you put
Yeah.
$1 billion on it.
Yeah.
That you might be a great dog. You might love dogs and hate cats, but you give me $1 billion, I'll convince you to love cats.
Yeah, exactly.
The system right now is using the new technology to do what it should do, meaning what you should expect it to do, their fiduciaries to their shareholders to increase revenue, increase profits, increase reach, to figure out how to sell more. That's what their job is. That's their fiduciary. They're all publicly traded companies. So using AI, using data, using technology to eliminate unnecessary activity and spending by addressing logistical considerations to deliver the healthcare people need. That's our focus. So redirect health. Redirect was about just to remind us that we are focused on logistics as
Mhm.
well as health.
I love that. Let's take a short break for one of our great sponsors, TrackStat. It is a new type of software plugin for your EHR that combines patient communication, marketing, automation, and statistics with patient and employee tracking. Built by chiropractors for chiropractors, it shows your team what to focus on each day. See patient visit habits, missing information, unpaid bills, insurance collection visit average, and more. Great visibility of data so you can focus on filling your office with your best patients. When you can see what your staff and patients are doing or not doing and take action accordingly, your profits naturally grow. Take TrackStat for a test drive in your office with our free trial. Not a techie, no problem, we can help. To get started on your free trial, visit trackstat.org and watch the demo. That is trackstat.org. And let's say I'm an employee and I've got a redirect health plan. Do I also need to have a regular insurance plan for the emergencies and that type of stuff? And how is that, if that's the case, what's the marriage between having a redirect health plan and a traditional health plan?
Yeah, so Redirect Health, in its essence, is a logistics platform. It'll make any health plan work better. It's a starting place. It's all virtual. It's the technology, it's the AI, it's the data, it's the common sense built into it. It's the price differentials, knowing them on the spot, having teams of people that can help navigate through the last inches of the healthcare system where it's needed. That's the platform. And the platform probably takes care of by itself. I'm going to make an estimate contextually 50% of what people need.
Yeah.
But there's still other stuff that they need too. So other health plans can be added. It should be added or take care of the next 20%, the next 30%. The real expensive part is that last 2%, right? That I'd have to go to Mayo to get that special proton thing for my brain cancer. That's in the 1/10 of 1%. That part,
Right.
that's where drives up the healthcare costs is that those last percentages. Our platform will take care of all the stuff in front of that and make it easier to access and less expensive. And so we have clients that just have our platform and then they have their fully insured Blue Cross, United, Aetna, Cigna plans. And then our platform makes those plans less expensive because we'll help their employees make an insurance versus cash decision. If I can get you your blood pressure medication for $1.71 at the grocery store, why would you want to pay your $20 copay with an insurance company? So we'll help with those decisions. So our platform makes that insurance plan work better for the people. We have clients that are self-insured. And so now the employers are paying the claims. So now the employer, mm, we help make their risk layer less or less expensive. We take away the employer's risk. So their self-insured plan works better.
Mm.
We have some stop loss carriers that appreciate our platform so much that they waive huge, huge chunks, like $40,000 per person in deductible that the employer would normally take on as risk. The stop loss carriers will waive a big portion, if not sometimes almost all of it, if our platform's in place. We got to prove ourselves. Our
Mhm.
platform won't you save money for the employer and for the stop loss carriers and for the people, because and I like that world because now we have actuaries who are looking at the data, and quite often I get to have a conversation with them and say, I don't understand this data. It's too low. The costs are too low.
Mhm.
And the part that I come to really appreciate from the actuaries is there are lots of things that we get to zero by not letting them happen in the first place.
Yeah.
The actuaries are not used to ever getting the zero. An example, a $9,000 MRI in a hospital system.
Mhm.
They're looking at our data and goes, there's no hospital MRIs. Why is that? Oh, good. Because our goal is to have none. Or if one sneaks out, no big deal. 1%. But if it's 20%, creates incredible costs.
Mhm.
So I love working with the actuaries, with the health plans. Your question was, do they need to have other insurance? Our platform by itself works really well
Mhm.
for what it is, but people should have health insurance for the more expensive things. We'll help people pay the cash pay rates for the routine things. Personally, I don't think anyone should have insurance for the routine things. That's like, to me, it's like having my car insurance paid for a flat tire, or my car
Right.
insurance paid for windshield wiper fluids, or fluid, or the wipers.
Mhm.
It just doesn't make sense. It drives up the cost of the insurance. I would rather the insurance was just there for the high dollar unexpected things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
the
think
ACL, the ACL tear playing recreational soccer, things of that nature, where you need surgery. So, we'll give an example as well. Like, let's say I have a regular insurance plan. Now, does that person that has the redirect health also, do they tend to then get cheaper insurance plans with higher deductibles because they're not going to use it too often? Because they're not just every time they go to the primary care or, get this, that, and the other thing, an x-ray, they have to go towards the deductible and it costs them a lot more. Is that accurate?
well, they should expect that they're going to spend less money out of pocket. They should. I used to think that if they were really good healthcare consumers, that their health insurance rates would go down next year. I used to think that. It never happened. And I also thought that it would stay level next year. No, never happened. Best I've seen is instead of a 23% increase, you might get a 15% increase. But usually you're going to need a really good broker who's got a lot of other business. It seems rather arbitrary to me. The system is designed to raise rates every year. And so by putting our platform in front of a regular insurance plan, it does help the insurance company long term or even next year because they want to sell more insurance.
Mhm.
If we eliminate a lot of the cost,
Mhm.
they have you don't need as much insurance. So our platform is not going to be well received by, it's going to be ignored for the most part, but I wouldn't tell anyone to expect their insurance rates to go down next year unless they're self-insured and they're an employer.
Gotcha.
Right now, the employer is paying the claims costs. I'd expect the claims costs to go down. Therefore, you're buying less insurance to start with because you're buying less insurance, just catastrophic, maybe over $40,000, maybe over $100,000. Right? That's what self-insured companies do. So everything that's called the specific deductible. Everything under the specific deductible, the employer has to pay.
Yeah.
The insurance company pays only if it gets above 40,000 or 100,000. Those two situations. So in our world, we rarely hit those specific deductibles because of the work that we're doing, which means the employer, their risk layer is smaller, goes down, their claims costs go down. And it also means that the stop loss carrier doesn't have the same ammunition to increase their rates next year. They still do, but they might increase it 2% or 4%. They don't increase it double digits.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Let's take a short break from today's episode to tell you about the best decision I've made in my clinic in the last 10 years, and that has been adding shockwave therapy to our clinic. The outcomes have been really impressive. Certain conditions we were struggling with in the past, we're now seeing results with the shockwave therapy for that. And second of all, the ROI has been really good. When you make a big investment in something, you want to see a return, and we're seeing that return in clinical outcomes and in our investment, and that's been really nice to see. I chose Keenest Medical for 4 reasons. One is the technology is top notch. You have to have great technology. There's a lot out there that isn't quite up to snuff. The second thing is they have a really good clinical training. They have an exclusive partnership with Academy of Shockwave Excellence so that you can become clinically proficient in shockwave. You do need to get skilled at it. I think that's a big differentiator between practices that are getting great results and seeing the ROI is they have a great clinical aspect to that as well. So you want to get trained appropriately. Third is they have in-house service team for all of your technical support, which is key when you're investing in a machine like this. And then lastly, they have a very in-depth marketing and business support for you so that you can launch this into your practice effectively, that you can get that ROI on it, that you can get the clinical outcomes. And they also have really good financing options if you need that. So go to kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, mention MCM podcast and receive a free shockwave in practice book with a purchase of a unit. So that's kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, and mention MCM podcast. So now let's talk about the small business world. Let's say a lot of our audience are small business owners, and I wanted to have this for my employees. What does that look like? How does that work?
So the best, easiest thing to do is go to our website and just sign up, and we'll have somebody call you. and somebody who's going to ask about your business, see what you're trying to accomplish. Mhm. Every business is a little bit different, but there's a lot of similarities, right? So I always want to know, like, what are your business objectives and what are the constraints? If your constraints are, I'll give you an example. If you're a law firm and your constraint is hiring the best legal assistants and lawyers, I'm going to say, don't let just go buy a Cadillac plan,
Mhm.
put our stuff in front of it if you want, but that's not even that necessary. Go buy concierge primary care DPC for all your lawyer, all your people. It's a better way to manage your healthcare of that very high paid workforce. If you're a construction company and you've got 10 managers or executives and managers, and you've got 50 hourly workers that can drive up costs because of work injuries, oh my gosh, let's go put it on them. And that's what, and you want to recruit those people. Let's make sure that we're doing the employer contribution. So our job ads get say free healthcare
Mhm.
to recruit those people. So I can recruit over my competitor. If I really want to get, I mean, one of the best ones I heard was we had a maid company, a franchise, and they discovered that um, when their franchises that had an average age, I think was 26, did better than average age than the others that were like 21, 22. And so what they decided to do is put our stuff in place and pay for moms and children, 100%. So then their job as they put free healthcare, you and your children. Well, what happened is they attracted an older maid, 26 years old, who had children, and that was their thing. If they got the older maid, they tended to have children. If they got them young, when they had children, they would leave. Wouldn't be a maid anymore. So they wanted to find people who want to be maids more as a career. Um, so they need them a little bit older. And so they strategically said free healthcare to your children. So I'm giving you this example because we want to understand what the strategic need for healthcare is for the business.
Mhm.
The only way to really know that is to have a a conversation. We do it over the phone. And then we've created some reusable building blocks that we put on top of our platform. Everybody goes on the same platform. Nobody's, you don't need our platform. You don't need redirect tell.
Mhm.
Then we add different levels of coverage on top of it, depending on your workforce. And then we also advise on different employer contribution for different groups of your company in a non-discriminatory way. There are laws around it. We got to make sure that we abide by so that our health plan costs the employer the least amount
Mhm.
for the best result. Now, sometimes you want to pay more, but you want to get a much better result if you get more.
So if you does the employer get to pick and choose different providers that they would be able to cover? Like I'll give you an example. If I'm a chiropractic practice owner, I probably wouldn't need a chiropractor to send to my employees to because they could just get it chiropractic work done in my office. But maybe I just have a primary care doctor that's they're able to use for redirect health. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so people can go see pretty much anyone they want to see. We start with a really broad network. It's called PHTS. It's multi-plan. It's like 700,000 practitioners.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter because when we do the enrollment, our technology, our platform, we ask people what conditions they have, what medications they take, what doctors are they seeing, all that stuff. We're asking it because we want to do a whole population health blitz on that company to make sure that we're getting ahead of the clinical need people might have, the financial exposure it might be, or probably going to walk into, high probability of walking into, or even we'll start to pick up where people are afraid of things.
Mm.
And the fear is an incredible driver of bad decisions in healthcare that are very expensive. So we will reach out to people and find out what their needs are
Mm.
in a prioritized way. And that if their doctor's not, we don't have a relationship with the doctor,
Mm.
or they're not on the PHTS network, we'll just call them. We have a whole system for doing this. And we never talk to the doctor. We talk to the staff, and we just basically, it's a 2-page agreement. We call it a usual customer and reasonable agreement, where they agree to usual customer and reasonable billing, and we agree to pay them within a week. They seem to like that.
Yeah, no, I had experience with that. We had one of your friends' sons. It was in and it worked out really good. We got paid well and we got paid quickly. I guess a question on that would be is all right, so the employer is paying Redirect Health for this plan for their employees. The employee goes and sees that primary care doctor, and let's say it's a $210 bill for whatever the whole thing is. Uh, Redirect Health is sending that check to that primary care doctor for that. Now, does the employee, like say me, have to pay the 210, or is that just part of the premium I'm paying to Redirect Health? Uh,
So for primary care, there's zero copay. We just don't want to manage the administration of like who owes that last $10. Like then it costs you $50 just figure out who owes the copay and for everyone to collect it. So we made that zero copay, and that tremendously decreases the administrative costs, which to everyone, to us, to the doctor, to the member. Like nobody likes opening these EOBs, this mail that says this is not a bill, but it sure looks like one. But then you get a collection notice later because you thought it wasn't a bill. It's just nobody likes it. So for the routine things, we make it all zero copay. The routine labs, the chiropractic, the primary care, the urgent care, zero copay. And what happens, plan A is we have a payer ID number, electronic payer ID number. So the vast majority, say 90% of the doctors know how to use it, and they'll send us a claim, and then we'll reprice it according to the usual customer reasonable, and we'll send them a check for 100%. They don't have to collect anything from the patient. They love it. You've got that 10% that want to be outside the system and don't want to use computers still. And so there's always a chance that they'll just mail us a paper bill and then we'll do the same thing. That's plan B. Plan C is they might go, I don't want to do this. You just got to pay me, patient, and the patient will pay. But now we're talking about probably 2% of our membership. And then we have a way on our app to snap the picture of the receipt and everything. And then we reimburse them usual customer and reasonable, which is almost always exactly what they paid because they're usually paying the self-pay rate.
hmm.
So plan A is they send us the claim electronically. Plan B is they mail it to us.
Mhm.
Plan C is that the patient pay and they send to us, and then we have a whole system for reimbursing them in 4 days.
I love it. No, it's been great. I had a good experience with it as well, and I'm excited to dive into it more. So I really appreciate your time today. How can they find out more information?
BreedRickHealth.com is the easiest way.
Perfect, and I'll put that in the show notes. This is great.
If they have any other special questions, we got a great team, and I'm happy to help where I can, and also to bring somebody else in if the question or the need is a little greater than what I can provide.
It's cool seeing a chiropractor do big things. I appreciate all the efforts doing that. And I know for a lot of chiropractors, we are trying to compete in getting good talent, and this could be one of those things to help you do that. So,
Yeah, and chiropractors are a very important part of our system, and that's why we make it free. Is because I don't want people to have to make the decision: do I pay a $50 copay to see a chiropractor, or a $50 copay to see a physical therapist, or a orthopedic surgeon? We know that we know chiropractors. We make our money before surgery. Physical therapists and orthopedic surgeons, they make their money because of surgery, right? So
exactly.
we know that, and I'm not saying there do anything's wrong with that, but that's the basics, and logistics matter. So if I can get you to a chiropractor first, some percentage, significant percentage, will then not need the orthopedic surgeon and the post-surgical physical therapy. Some percentage will not. Every chiropractor will tell you story after story how they prevented back surgery or knee surgery or shoulder surgery or neck surgery. It's what we do. So I appreciate make it really easy logistically, and a $0 copay is a way to get people to chiropractors so that they only need to see orthopedic surgeons and physical therapists when the surgery has to happen.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Doc.
All right.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time-free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth, and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things, and we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.